Circular polarizers are freaking magical, and they will do amazing things to your video footage. Photographers are all about circular polarizers, but for whatever reason, video creators kind of seem oblivious to them. Let's change that. I'm James Archer, and I make videos about making videos. If you're interested in making videos, be sure to click the personal validation thumb, and don't forget to hit the boost my self-worth button. Most of the video creators and filmmakers I follow on YouTube hardly ever seem to talk about lens filters. When they do, it's usually about neutral density filters, which are used to reduce shutter speed in order to create better motion blur for buttery, creamy, cinematic B-roll, blah, blah, blah. And it's often in conjunction with something they happen to be selling. But nobody ever seems to talk about the humble circular polarizer, which is crazy because photographers are all about this thing. Product photographers, car photographers, portrait photographers, landscape photographers. A lot of landscape photographers may never even take the circular polarizer off of their camera. So what's the big deal? Let me explain. No, there's too much. Let me sum up. This is a circular polarizer. It's kind of like sunglasses for your camera. Polarized sunglasses. Polarized sunglasses have a special chemical applied to them that basically blocks out light going this way but lets in light going this way, or something like that. People wear polarized sunglasses to reduce glare, and you can do the exact same thing for your video footage. You just screw the circular polarizer onto the end of your lens, and then you can actually turn it to adjust how polarized you want it to be. One of the main things polarizers are known for is making the sky darker. All of that scattered light bouncing around the sky, the polarizer just gets rid of it, leaving only a gorgeous blue that's a few stops darker than what it would otherwise be. You already know it's hard to get the sky to look good in video because there's so much dang light up there. If you expose your subject, the sky is blown out. If you expose for the sky, your subject is too dark. However, with the circular polarizer, you can darken the sky quite a bit so everything looks more balanced, and you can actually retain some detail instead of just blowing it out. An additional benefit is that it makes clouds leap out of the background. You'll find clouds you didn't even realize were there. Even the most boring sky can get a lot more interesting with a circular polarizer. Another really great benefit is that it cuts through reflections on water. This is why people wear them when they go boating or fishing. In fact, a circular polarizer is kind of like X-ray vision for water. It lets you see past the surface glare to get a better view of what's underneath. It'll also bring out reflections in the water that you couldn't see very well because of the glare, making your footage more visually interesting. This makes circular polarizers super useful for car photography because you can cut through the reflections and let the real colors come out, as well as reducing reflections on windows so you can actually see through the glass. This effect on glass is great for building windows as well. If you want to shoot through a window but the reflections are blocking you, just swing the circular polarizer around and suddenly you're looking into the building. This even works with plants. If you're getting footage of plants or tree leaves with a somewhat reflective surface, the circular polarizer will cut through that glare and let the underlying color come out. Now I'm in Arizona and it was 114 degrees when I shot this, so there wasn't a lot of moisture on the plants. But even still, you can see a little bit of change to the saturation and contrast. It's subtle, but it's there. If you film in a location that has actual wet plants, you'll probably see this effect a lot more prominently. Now, I haven't had a chance to try this out for myself yet, but I've seen where a circular polarizer can also be used for portraits to reduce glare on the face. That can reduce the visibility of pores and wrinkles as well as reducing shininess. I definitely want to try this out because it gets stupid hot here, and sometimes I, glisten. Now, I've shown you a bunch of times where a circular polarizer does super cool stuff, but there are other times where it doesn't do anything at all or can actually make things worse. For example, a polarizer usually works best when you're about 90 degrees perpendicular to the source of light. So late in the day, for example, you want to shoot sideways to the sun, not into it or away from it. Otherwise, even when you're turning the polarizer to strengthen the effect, it'll basically do nothing. At night, a polarizer won't really do much, but it'll reduce your shutter speed, which is probably not what you want. If you're trying to shoot a rainbow, a circular polarizer can actually make it disappear entirely because a rainbow is basically reflected light. If you're shooting wide angle, you're actually going to catch more of the sky than is affected by the circular polarizers. So you're going to wind up with a dark blue patch and a light blue patch, which looks kind of weird. And sometimes you want reflections. Sometimes the glare on the skin shows volume and shape, or sometimes you want to show how wet something is by seeing the little droplets on it. And in that case, using a polarizer would take all that away and actually reduce the effectiveness of the image. However, generally speaking, a circular polarizer can do a crap ton of interesting stuff for your video footage, and you would be crazy not to keep one in your bag.